If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law with Gary C. Johnson.
Welcome into Simply Life. I'm not going to tell you what we're laughing about. I'm Keith Casebolt. This is my friend Gary C. Johnson. I got to tell you, friend, it is always good to see you, and it's always good to be together.
It is wonderful. Isn't life so wonderful, my friends? And all of you have had a wonderful week, right? Happy? No criticizing, condemning, or complaining. Didn't take anything personal, right? Not a single thing. Not even the insurance company. Huh? Isn't it good? We are living our dash. You, Keith, and I. We have made a choice, each of you, that's going to be happy. And you know, I think it's interesting. For the first time in a long time, something didn't pop into my mind before I started this show.
Well, it did mine. When you said the criticizing, condemning, and complaining, I had an individual tell me the other day, ever since I've watched the Gary Show, I have caught so many people criticizing, condemning, and complaining, and I catch it right off the bat, and I have seen all kinds of people doing it. I said, well, have you caught yourself doing it? Oh, I never did do it. I'm just catching all these other people doing it. So I had a friend telling me they sure did pick up on everybody else, but they were still pretty innocent on it.
You want to do it. It's sort of like breathing.
Yeah.
But my friends, you're learning to not do it, aren't you? Much happier now, right? Much, much happier now because you're not doing it. You're, to the extent you can, you're being impeccable with the word, each and every one of you, because words are so harmful, aren't they? How many of you feeling, just popped in my head, how many of you feeling right now hurt because of words that someone used? Raise your hand.
No, I got to tell you this. You just pointed something out. I had an individual send me a text, and there was a hurtful word in it. And I used your 24-hour rule. I thought, how do I respond to that? So I waited, and I wrote back, well, that wasn't very nice. That was my response. And the individual wrote back and said, well, I shouldn't have said that. But after I thought about your lesson, I didn't get upset over it. I realized it wasn't a very nice word, and that's what I wrote.
But the hurtful feeling you get when the word is used is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit, my friends, because honestly, it just popped in my head as I mentioned it. Some of my friends out there, no doubt in my mind, you're feeling hurt right now because of words that people have used. They were not impeccable with the word. They weren't careful. And they opened the mouth before they put the brain in gear, and they've hurt you. And they made you feel bad. All I can say to you is that they can't eat you, they can't kill you, and they're not that important to make you feel bad. Because if they made you feel bad, that means that they really have a problem with themselves, not you. Because we know you're okay, right? You're doing the best you can do. You're not going to try to do the best they can do. That's their problem. So please quit feeling hurt about it. Feel sorry for the person that was dumb enough to make the statement that hurts you. Somebody that was dumb enough to not be impeccable with the word and not be careful, because words are so harmful when they're used. Okay?
You know, Gary, I'm sitting here thinking, as kids, as little children, we learn the little rhyme, sticks and stones may break our bones, but words will never hurt us. But yet here we are in an adult life, and you're reminding me and all of our friends that evidently we didn't learn that little lesson in grade school, that we're still allowing people to use the language, English language, to use words to hurt us.
They've caused wars. It's amazing the damage words have caused because people weren't careful. They opened their mouth, used the words, and it caused great harm. So to the extent you can, my friends, I urge you to be impeccable with the word. And make sure that when you utter a word, that that word is not going to cause emotional distress or harm to another human being. Because we're not on this earth designed to hurt or harm other people. We were put here to enjoy our lives to the best and the fullest we can, to be happy, to accept our blessings as they come. And if you are sitting there watching a TV right now, which you would have to be, wouldn't you? You're blessed. If you've got a full stomach, you're doubly blessed. If you've got one that's too full, you're not using good sense.
Don't worry, friends. I know who that was aimed at. That's the old partner over here.
But yes, we are blessed. And we have many blessings. And that's the thing you need to be concentrating on. Not some hurtful word that someone said to you. It's not worth it. It's just absolutely don't do it. And don't give them that part of your life. It's your dash. None of it belongs to somebody that would try to harm you with a word. None of it. Don't give it up. Don't give it up.
Isn't that the most empowering thing that you're telling us, is nobody can actually hurt you unless you give them permission?
That's right.
You have the power to put like this force field around you to say, unless I allow you to hurt me, you can't.
How many times have I said on this program, no one can make you miserable unless you give them permission, except your children. Mm-hmm. There's an exception to every rule, right? But that's true. Your state of mind is in your control. Your happiness is in your control. How you deal with the people around you, that is your control, not theirs. You are in control. And yet people think they're not. So my friends, if you're feeling hurt because of some words somebody used, tell them, don't say anything. In your mind, say, stick it, I'm moving on. You're not important enough to cause me to worry or to feel bad.
You know, the big revelation to me, you said you're in control, they're not in control. The revelation to me was that you could be in control. The thing that amazed me is you didn't have to let anybody else be in control. You could stand up and say, no, I think I'm going to take ownership of this, and I'm not going to let you hurt me.
Whose life are you living, my friend? Are you living someone else's? Or are you living yours? Do you think there's any way in the world you have any control over their life? You hope they control their life, but you have 100% control over your life. And how you think, how you view what's going on around you, whether or not you choose happiness over misery, whether or not you choose whether the cup is half empty or half full. Those are all choices you get to make. I strongly recommend that every time you make one of those choices, it's the one that makes you feel the best. And I'm going to tell you this story because it's been so many years since I've told it about my little son, C.D., which is now practicing law in Lexington with me. And you know, you say children have great insights and you have to listen to them. But he was playing every day with a little girl across the street. And one day I came home and C.D. was feeling bad, he was down. And I said, C.D., what's wrong? His name's Charles, but I call him C.D. He said, well, and he mentioned her name and said, didn't play with me today. I said, what do you mean? He said, she went over on the other street and played with another little boy. So I said, well, you know, I was going to use my infinite wisdom and ask him about it. I said, well, so she went over playing with you every day, so now she's gone over and played with this other little boy. Yep. You feel betrayed. I mean, he's a 4-year-old, but he understood what. Yes, I do. I sure do. I feel betrayed. I said, well, are you going to play with her again? And he thought about it. And he looked up at me out of the eyes of a babe and said, yeah, I am. And being dumb, duh, I asked him, I said, well, you just said she betrayed you. Why would you go play with her again? And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, it feels better.
It's a lot of fun.
It feels better.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what she was doing or not doing. The issue is how did he feel? Now think about that. That is a lesson that I learned from a 4-year-old 29 years ago.
And the thing of it is, we're sitting here as adults. The adults could have called each other and said, your kid snubbed my kid. They're no longer going to play together and everything. But here a 4-year-old fixed everything by saying, yeah, I'm going to play with her. I'll play with her tomorrow. It's fun.
Yeah, it feels better. I swear that floored me, the simplicity of how we should live our lives. Because that meant nothing. That's the past. That's yesterday. The issue is how's he going to feel tomorrow? in his quest to have fun and to get on with life. So folks, take that lesson from a 4-year-old. It's a good lesson. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
What a great lesson. Yeah, Dad, you can be upset, but I'm going to be in the sandbox tomorrow having a big-eyed time. I'm over it. Hey, that's part of our Simply Life radio program that we do here on Simply the Law. So stay with us. We're coming right back with Gary C. Johnson after you see this message.
Who really knows which lawyer you should choose? Other lawyers know. They've invited Gary C. Johnson to teach his method of judo law in Denver, Atlanta, New Orleans, and across the nation. Gary used judo law to set the record for the largest personal injury verdict in the history of Kentucky. Now, which lawyer should you choose? The choice is clear. Gary C. Johnson. Dial #HURT. This is an advertisement.
Welcome back into Simply the Law. You know, Gary, I got to compliment you. Our radio program is called Simply Life, which you try to simplify for us. And this program is Simply the Law, which again, you try to simplify for us. And the story you just told about CD in the opening segment really simplified everything.
You know, the law is just common sense. When I hire a young lawyer, I tell them, I say, you've been to law school, you've learned a little bit. Just remember that if it's common law that's passed down by the judges over the years, the law will always be what it ought to be to achieve justice. Now, if it's legislative law, such as workers' comp and things of that nature, then you can pretty well predict that it probably won't be what it ought to be. Because the judges that passed those down, they weren't lobbied by special interest. They weren't influenced by special interest. They weren't invited to the cocktail places where they had all the shrimp to talk to the legislatures about the legislation. The judges did pass the law down through the common law based on what should be justice and the right thing to do. So you can assume that if it's not statutory, such as workers' comp, without going to the books or anything, you can assume with a high percentage of reliability that the law will be exactly what it ought to be, and you can proceed accordingly, even if you don't know what it is. And you can too in your lives, folks, except unless the legislature's got involved in it, then you don't know what the law is going to be. It's different. But we talked last week about the personal injury industry and my concern about what's happening to it. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I saw a commercial the other day where a firm said that we took 1 million calls last year in our nationwide firm, and we collected $1 billion. That's a lot, right? That $1 billion is a lot of money. Well, put the math to it. If they took 1 million cases, they recovered an average of $1,000 for their clients, each of them. If they only took 200,000 cases out of that million, they recovered probably $10,000 per client.
So Gary, you pointed out on last week's program that the insurance company has models, and they treat it as a business. They look at the client. They look at who the attorney is, or if they don't have an attorney. Is it now that there's some major law firms that are saying, well, if the insurance company's doing it and it's working for them, we're going to treat it as a business?
It's not that. It's what I'm talking about is volume.
Yeah.
Out of that $1 billion, the attorney fees probably would have been $330 million. It didn't really matter much what those people got when you break it down. And if you just do some division, do it yourself, my folks. You can do it on your own. Even if I only took 100,000 of those cases on that 1 million calls, you're still down. I was looking at it, probably average settlement would have been about $10,000 a case.
So
now let me give you then we'll take it one step further.
Okay.
Our firm, which we say we intend to be professionals, we handled 200 cases last year, 15 lawyers, and 35 support personnel, a total of about 47 people. We were able to adequately handle 200 cases, and only 200 cases. Not 1 million, not 100,000, not 200,000, not 5,000, not even 500. But each and every one of our clients, we got them what we considered a fair settlement. The average settlement for our firm last year was $97,000. Now, if you put the pencil to what they're talking about with the volume, not even close. They'll tell you that.
And Gary, because of the 200, because you've talked on this program before, when you take a case, you start preparing it to go to trial. There's a lot of work involved. I mean, a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's amazing how much work and expenses involved. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Stay with us. This is Simply the Law. We'll be back right after you see this.
Eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, and southwest Virginia. It can be a tough territory to reach when it comes to marketing. We can help. We can also help you find your identification. And we have plenty of services to do it and a lot of experience behind us, over 37 years. In fact, we've either booked or sold nearly $70 million in advertising in this region. You need a new voice, a new idea, a new concept? Casebolt Marketing. We're ready to go to work for you today. Our motto is nothing happens until you make it happen. So let's get started today.
Welcome back into Simply the Law. Some of the information that you gave us in that other segment was kind of a revelation, to say the least.
Well, I want to mention one other thing on that, then I'll probably get off of it. If you know someone that's going to an attorney and you see all of these advertising, big advertising, all this stuff you're supposed to be, The person that goes into the lawyer's office needs to ask one simple question. Show me where you have $1 million verdict in the state of Kentucky. You've advertised all these wonderful things you do, all these wonderful things you can do. Show me. Pull it out and show me where you have $1 million verdict in the state of Kentucky. Period. Better yet, show me your largest verdict, if any, you have that you tried in the state of Kentucky. Now, if they've got it, they will be so proud to show it to you, right? Because then they'll know they've convinced you to sign with them. If they can't show you some proof that they can do what they say in Kentucky on television, you might want to ease out that door and get away from them. Because they've already lied to you. Simple. No big deal. Not complicated. Just ask them. It's that simple.
Now, I have a funny feeling that you're going to come right back and tell our friends that you would be more than proud to show your results.
Oh, yes.
And Gary, you know, last week you talked about how the insurance companies treated it as a business and they looked at the individual and would try to lowball them. And you said, my client and I got up and walked out. And it's because of that record that you have, the confidence that you got up and walked out because you weren't going to allow the insurance company to do that to this individual.
Nope. My clients, I try my best to change their lives one at a time. I'm not going to change the world. I don't have time and I'm not smart enough. But I am smart enough to change my clients' lives one at a time. And I can do that. I can manage that.
And Gary, the importance of this, you talk about our dash. Our dash is on the line. If you've been injured, this is your dash, this is your life, this is your family. You've got to be vigilant and you've got to research all of this information that you're putting out there.
Well, if you've truly been injured, and it's a big company or a truck or something that hits you, especially a truck, where there might be insurance that you can recover, probably one of the bigger decisions you'll be making for your sake is choosing who you're going to have represent you against the insurance company and who's going to go to court with you. Research it carefully. There's some good lawyers out there. You probably won't be seeing them all over those TVs. But there's some good lawyers out there. Do your research. Then make a decision. The good lawyers will be proud to show you their results. They won't hesitate. And then you can depend on that because they have a proven track record. That's what I'm saying to you. The lawyers that have not turned it into a business have a good track record. The lawyers that are conducting a business, you need to look at their track record before you sign with them. Just because it's all glamorous on TV doesn't mean that they can get you money from an insurance company.
So the major point, the takeaway from this is those law firms that are doing that, are they making money? Yes, they are. But the question is, what is the average that the injured client is making?
That's what you need to ask. I don't know. I know if those numbers are correct that they gave us, the math speaks for itself.
So you got to ask yourself.
Let's take our last break and come back.
You know, Gary puts out the information and it really empowers you to know that you can research, you can get online, you can look, you can make your own decision based upon the facts. Stay with us. We'll close out the program with Gary C. Johnson right after this.
People are asking, what is judo law? Judo is a martial art that uses the opponent's strength to defeat them by not opposing it directly. Gary C. Johnson created a method of practicing law based on that principle. It worked so well he named it judo law. To see the results, go to GaryCJohnson.com. To have Gary and his team of judo lawyers go to work for you, dial #HURT. This is an advertisement.
Gary, great information that you've been giving us tonight. A lot of our friends are sitting there saying, wow, I didn't think about it, didn't know to look. I can tell you now, if you've got your laptop or your phone with you, you could go to GaryCJohnson.com, you could go to judolaw.com and look at Gary's results. And if you've got a friend or neighbor that didn't see this show and you want them to see it, all the shows are stored. You can go to simplythelaw.com and watch the program again for the information.
One other thing I want to point out to you folks. To get the maximum value out of a case and to get the insurance that's available, a case has to be prepared for trial. You can't just do what they call a demand and get the value of a case. It takes a lot of personnel and a lot of work. And that's why we have so many people on our staff, because we prepare every single case that comes in our office. We prepare it for trial. Because if it doesn't settle and they don't pay my client the money, I'm going to take it to a jury and let a jury tell my client they don't get it. Okay? It's that simple.
So the case is, when you and the client got up and walked away from the lowball offer, the reason you walked away is because you had that case prepared to go to trial and you were confident that the jury would see the facts and do the right thing. You weren't bluffing.
There's no doubt they will. I mean, it's ridiculous. The offer was ridiculous. I know a jury would let them have more money than that. I have no doubt about that. And I'm just not going to do it. I can afford to not do it. I've been around long enough I'm just not doing it. I'm taking care of my clients. Besides, I don't have any other hobbies. Why not take care of my clients? I mean, it's just a fact.
You know, I had somebody ask me the truth. Does Gary fish or golf, or what's he do as a hobby? I said, he practices law. That's his hobby. That's what you do.
Well, I never had time when I was younger to learn how to fish or golf, so I don't know how to do either. So when you think about it, when you get up my age, what do? Well, me. I love meeting my clients. In fact, I met with several today. I actually go through every single file in my office personally. It's not just where I'm here on television and then I never look at anything. I know every one of my clients' files better than just about the lawyer that's working it. And I love doing it. I love taking on those defense doctors. I love showing them up for what they are. And it's what I do. I guess it's my hobby.
My friend, all I can say is let's keep doing it forever. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, you can go to GaryCJohnson.com, judolaw.com, or to watch this program again, simplythelaw.com. On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. We really appreciate you tuning in. And as always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.
Thank you for watching Simply the Law, a program created by Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.